Hello, hello. How are you? Yeah, we once again, it's all about being 40 guys. Thank you for dialing in. Is it time dialing in or tuning in or connecting with us? I mean, it's all that. Thank you for joining us today on Being 40 Show. Frank Mola is my name, and of course, I'm with Eva Venus Chengo. We're going to talk about silence in relationships. Welcome to Being 40. Venus, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. Naona uko nyumbani leo. Congratulations. Is it because there are rising numbers of COVID cases? It's by default. Today is Friday.
Why are you talking as if you're not? You need to cheer up. You're talking like you're laid back. No, today's Friday, so we have coffee and jazz that starts at 5 all the way to 8 p.m. So it's happening.
Na mbona hujani invite?
I sent the sticker. I sent you the what is I sent you the poster, not the sticker. So now it's
Yeah.
almost late. So maybe you cannot make it.
Frank, you're not my husband. Kama ungekuwa bwanangu, ningekupatia silent treatment because this is not how you do things, eh? You're supposed to, hata kama I'm not your sweetheart, but surely, friends, I'm a friend. You're supposed to have, called me, unaniambia, Venus, it's good that you come. At least and
I'm
speaking of
losing.
that, guys,
Talking about silent treatment in relationship. As we
I
continue
mean,
engaging, please post hapo kwa comment. Let us know, how do you relate with your spouse, with your with your, when they're giving you silent treatment. Frank, I hear a lot of men saying that women are specialized. We have a degree in silent treatment. But don't you think that as men, you are the one who caused this thing?
well, Venus, I think I'll tend to disagree first with that thing that it's only women who do the silent treatment. Um, and it doesn't only apply to relationships, by the way. Um, it tends to apply to business partners. It tends to apply to friends. It tends to apply to there are different reasons why this just comes up and people start having that silent treatment. So I just want to put that disclaimer that it just doesn't happen in relationships alone, but it happens even with our parents. Sometimes we give them silent treatment or they give us silent treatment, our closest friends, our spouses, our business partners. I think the conversation more should be what causes silent treatment and is it justifiable? And is there a duration of time by which you need to treat your partner like that if you're angry? Even though it doesn't really end up anywhere, but truthfully, silence is also communication.
I know you like using that phrase, eh? Yes, silence is communication, but it's more on the negative side. Because by the time maybe I'm giving my husband silent treatment or even my sister, there must be something that is causing me to indulge in this kind of behavior. And that is what I feel that men out there, and I want to specialize in terms of relationships because I can relate with it, okay? I
Yeah.
have done it, not once, not twice. I have done it when I feel I don't want to really be toxic in the relationship. And what do I mean by this? Like, unaweza kuta yani, hubby has kasirishad me, or my sister, or a close person who I really care about, but I don't want to come out strongly with words that may hurt them. So what I prefer is just to distance myself and keep quiet. But what hurts is when maybe in the case of my husband, he doesn't want to know what is happening. Okay? And on that note, let me just call my producer hapa akuja tengeneze hii mic. I think I have an echo.
Well, no,
So
I can't.
that's what I feel.
Well, again, like you said, you're a psychologist, or so like you rightfully said, you're more specialized on the relationship side. But I also tell you for a fact that also men tend to have that silent treatment, and I will not really put myself far away from it. Um, there are certain corridors. People tend to say that your personality, you have your personality, but it changes in different environments. And sometimes it is okay for that to change based on the environment you're in. Where I am now, I'm going to put on a certain hat. But when I move to a different place, know that my personality will change. But I'll have to change to conform to the environment that it's not a personality change. Now,
Okay.
what happens is a number of things trigger these things. And you'll tell us, maybe in relationships, right? Is it because you've been discussing something repeatedly with somebody, and maybe you just can't seem to find a middle ground? Is it because the repetition of a specific things that just keeps on happening, and sometimes you're like, I don't know what to do anymore, and you want your space? To some people, maybe that silent treatment is they want space, but it's not really the best thing, like you rightfully said. Are you looking at the sky, or you're looking at your producer? What's really happening?
I'm looking at my producer here. I don't know. Please confirm that there's no echo, because I feel like maybe there's an echo.
I
You
can
can
hear
hear
you.
me clearly. Okay, in case
Yes.
with this technology, thank God to StreamYarding, what? But in case there's any issue, please let me know so that I can tell my producer here. Yes, I'm listening, Frank. Yes, please continue.
So again, I was just saying there are different scenarios in a relationship. It can be in a friendship, and usually this is what happens. Sometimes when you feel like you are a professional in monopoly when it comes to information, because nobody can claim to have monopoly of information. But sometimes what happens is when you talk to people and they don't see things from your side, and they want to believe they're the ones who are right, and you're the one wrong, and a form of disagreement happens because of just that miscommunication. Then one person mutes and says, whatever, we are talking kunisikiza, and all that stuff, right? But only this, you just need to make sure that your right is not the only right. So getting that. But there are people who are toxic sometimes. Leave alone relationships. It can be friends, and that's why you're realizing it, right? Instead of giving somebody silent treatment, and then I'm not talking about relationships, I'm just talking gender. If it's somebody you feel who's getting into your space and you don't feel, instead of having silent, just disconnect, just cut off. In a relationship, it depends on what level you're in your relationship. It's a marriage, you're dating, you just started dating, is your girlfriend or whatever it is. Do you know this person? How much do you know this person? Because some things start coming up a bit later. But regardless, silent treatment becomes, it's a standard thing. Like you said, it's right, it's not a good thing. But let's discuss and find out, why does it happen? Why do people treat each other like that? Why do people go quiet?
I personally feel, I think you have a point, Frank, but coming from that space where I have done it, I think now in my 40s, I don't indulge in silent treatment as much as I used to do when I was younger. So what I'm trying to say is, I feel silent treatment is a sort of like a sign of immaturity, and I stand to be corrected. Because, can I explain? Stop sneering. Let me explain.
You just hit me.
We grow.
How do you say, anyway, go ahead.
Sema ouch, because I think I'm just no, it's just about saying things as is. As you know, in our 40s, we try to be more authentic, in what we do. And I think that is something that I've also realized, that when I hit fourth floor, a few things changed in me. And one thing that I said is, I'll never live a hypocritical life whereby I'm giving you the wrong signal or I'm lying to you. Okay? In my 20s, silent treatment, let me just say, I had a PhD. Yeah, in terms of levels, I could do it, and I would do it to anyone and everyone. Anytime I would get hurt, it would be my weapon. Okay. Then in my 30s, I started narrowing down and thinking, okay, fine. It's not, you always measure your behavior by the kind of, what do I call it? What you get out of, as feedback, or what you get in terms of the other person's behavior, how they are mirroring you. So I realized, by the way, this thing is not working, especially in my relationships, those that I care about. Now, in my 40s, there are certain things that I decided that I was going to change about myself. And one of it was silent treatment, because it was not doing any good to my marriage, okay? Every time my husband would ask me what is wrong, like if I'm annoyed, I would be like, I'm okay. But I would go quiet on him, you see. And he's wondering, okay, you're saying one thing, you're okay, but on the other side, you are not talking to me. I'm trying to talk to you, you're rolling your eyes. So, let me finish. Ngoja, Frank.
No, wait.
So,
you are married at a very young age. That's what I'm coming to. So, I think 20-something. So, hii story ya silent treatment, ilifika wapi ndo ukaanza as you pick up from where you are, I'd also want you to share that, because you're married at a very tender age. So ilianzia wapi? Ulimature ukifika wapi after umefika 40, or at what point?
Let me just say, part of maturity has to be intentional. There are things you can decide to heal from a trauma, go through the stages, and get out of it, or you can decide to cling on a situation, okay? I can easily say that this is me, and this is how I used to be in my 20s, okay? But intentionally, after assessing and seeing that this thing is not making me grow in any way, or is not bringing good things out of this behavior that I have, I decided, by the time I was turning 40, I decided one of the things that I purposely decided to change when it comes to personal development was to speak out my mind, okay? So I feel that as ladies, because we love doing it, and I know men also do it, but for ladies, let me talk as a woman. It's because sometimes we just don't want to hurt the other party by giving them toxic words, by telling them toxic stuff. So you decide to keep quiet and let it boil in you, which at the end of the day, it ends up destroying you. I always say, anything that doesn't come out will eat you inside. This is the reason we are having people having chronic ulcers in relationships. Why?
Right.
They have no outlet. You have been suppressing what you need to say because you understand what I'm meaning. So for me, I'm just trying to say that silent treatment does not work in relationships.
So, my dear, in some of the sessions that we have, and of course, we don't want you to call out names or anything else.
Yes.
When people come in, what really happens? Is it that it's often the lady, or it's often the man, or it's often, when they come to you in this conversation around the silence, treating each other that way, how do you pick that, and how do you resolve that? Because there have to be some issues that's driving that behavior.
Okay. Without mentioning names and just talking from experience, what brings people to a therapeutic room is because things are bad. As it is, they're maybe at the verge of breaking down. They're the verge of a divorce. They're the verge, So they've really tried to sort out the situation, but it's not working. And by the time they are coming for therapy, you'll find that maybe they are not in talking terms. But remember, in every relationship, there's one who specializes in the silent treatment, and I call that person the trigger. So when I decide I'm going to keep quiet, yes, you have asked me, Frank, what is wrong? What is wrong? And you keep on asking me, and then you get to a point where you just say, okay, Shorizako, Jisot,
yeah.
And you also now decide to keep quiet. So what happens is the relationship now begins to go, to get that spiral, effect of kwenda chini. You understand? So at the end of the day, munafika point now you decide, why are we in this relationship? See, we just call it quits. But you see, the trigger, the person who starts this silent treatment is the person who needs help. Yeah? Because you find that, couples...
No.
Yes.
No, why?
You're the one who needs help in terms of changing your behavior because you're a trigger.
Listen. People always focus. Let me tell you this. You come in.
Ooh, let me just laugh.
Eliza, somebody comes and then you create a scenario, right? So you're the one who started boiling the ocean. And ule mtu akadecide kureact. Vile ana react, let's say he reacts with that, amesema mi nitakuwa quiet and I'll do all these things. Why do we always focus on the reaction and not the action itself? Why don't we look at what caused this before we go to the reaction?
Because we are human beings and we are, emotional. It's about how you made someone feel. That is where we start from. Frank, it's not even about what caused this thing. It's about what this person is making you feel. If I'm keeping quiet, no umejaribu kuniongelesha, and I'm not talking, and I've become adamant about even saying anything about what is going on in my mind, then you start feeling like I don't respect you.
No, but it's true.
So it's about how you feel. But then it should... Hey.
Listen, the question is this. Venus, please, nisikilize tu, all right?
Nakusikiza.
Nisikilize. Tulikuwa tunaongea, we were talking. And then I did something to trigger that. Ukakasirika, right? Then I'm the one who did something which triggered. And then now we're like, hey, Frank, what's up? Nini, and all that stuff. And then in that process, Venus giving me silent treatment, is she not entitled? Because the minimum trigger your issue. Who has triggered the problem? Is she not entitled?
You're the one who has triggered that problem, but maybe I don't know how to relate with you. You see, so me na decide, okay, fine. Wewe ndio umefanya hiyo kitu and you have hurt me. Okay? And there are even instances, Frank, where wewe ndio umeni hurt na wewe ndio unajifanya unanipea silent treatment. You understand? So, I feel that's why I'm saying these silent treatment things, whether you're the trigger, whether you're the recipient, it doesn't work in relationship. It is toxic for the relationship, and all it does is bring down what you have been building over the years. I personally feel in our age, let us talk about being 40. In our age, we cannot be indulging. I mean, really, you cannot be Frank Saina hizo ndevu zako za white. Ati umenuna. As in silent treatment. Honestly, these are things that young people who are still trying to find their way, they're trying to get their balance in life, should indulge. If we are indulging in silent treatment in our age, what are we teaching young people? So I believe, and I will still hold on to what I said at the beginning. Having this silent treatment, imagine, is a sign of immaturity. And I would like people to comment on this because
put 40 out of this. Look at it from a stage perspective. Honestly speaking, I think as people, what we grow, when you're, in fact, I would want to turn it the other way around, because when you're young, you're learning a lot of things. So, and you see kids, wakikosana saizi, they forgive each other very fast and they move on. Yes. And life goes on. But the funny thing is, as people are growing older, it's becoming even worse and worse and worse, because I think the way kids are just lovely souls, they don't hold things inside, right? So as are growing older, even that 40, you'll be surprised. 40, 42, silent treatment imeshika hivi,
Aki watu wakuje tuonge. We need to have a seminar and debate about this thing. Let me tell you, Frank, when a child, looking at now what you have brought in the stages of life and growth and development, children are innocent beings. A child is born with a clean slate. It is us as parents who shape them, the environment they grow in, the knowledge they acquire in school that shapes them, okay? Now, as they grow, bring in the issue of, hormones, where now you find moods, unakuta teenager doesn't want to talk, maybe sometimes they want to talk. Now, you will grow out of teenage, isn't it? You get into a relationship. Doesn't it show you that sometimes we are living lives of, teenagers, lives of people who have not really kukoma, because we are holding on to younger, and yesterday behavior. In our 40s, we should be the ones who sit down and advise the young people who are coming in for advice in terms of relationship. Now, what do you tell, Frank, someone who comes to you and asking you about how to deal with a partner who treats them, gives them that silent treatment, and yet you're doing it? Don't you think that it is time for you to grow if you're to mentor other people?
You see, and I agree with you. I mean, what I'm simply saying is, The fact that you're 40 and the fact that you're 50 will
Mm-hmm.
not negate the fact that some of these attributes, if they were not addressed at a certain stage in life, if kama ilifika mahali na relationship and you know, kuna watu wanatumia it was a strength on their side to manipulate, right? And you see, it was not addressed. Of if you didn't want to get therapy or something, you're gonna grow into this thing, and the more you grow into this thing without getting therapy, in a kitchen is it falls. So easily at 40, instead of you being able to address things, you can't. And what are some of the things that trigger these things? Why get to that point? There are the factors. What is your spouse cheating on you? Is you know, providing a provide ama sijui whatever reason ufika mahali fight mpaka unasikia mtu anasema mi nimechoka na hiyo nyumba, wewe wachana naye akaenda rudi huko sasa or whatever it is, right? It's because people are not solving the underlying issues. Guys go to bed, unapata watu wapenda like, you know, like mtu ana Facebook mwingine ana this other side. Why? It's because people just want to address the fundamental
Exactly.
that is underlying, right? So in a way, started from some time back, haijaanza side, it might be you came with it in that relationship and you don't want to address it, and then eventually it starts blowing up.
So are you with me? Do you agree with me that you have to be very intentional? Because you know, being human and being emotional, we are always triggered to want to treat someone silently, to want to keep quiet when we need to talk. But it takes a conscious mind to say, I am not going into this thing of silent treatment. I am going to address it, whether in business, whether in a relationship, whether when it comes to maybe even church issues where when you're dealing, you know, in social spaces. It has to take the maturity of, I'm going to be intentional about sorting this issue as opposed to keeping quiet. By the time unalala ile pande na demu yako analala ile pande, it shows both of you are very mature. If you can truly, let me just say this, if you can sleep comfortably, hamjongeleshana 1 week, umelala kwa bed moja na there's a rift in between there. Frank, let me tell you, both of you need help, because there's a way you can just make, you know, kabisa unakatalia unasema pana, this issue we have to sort out, and I'm going to call all the parties that need to be here, we sort out this issue. Because if you are accepting that kind of treatment and you're okay with it, day 1, day 2, even you're mentally sick, honestly, huwezi sema ati ni kuvumilia, huwezi sema ni kuvumilia. Why are you then in that relationship if someone else? And by the way, let me tell you, as a psychologist, I can assure you that silent treatment is a psychological abuse. By the way, it is there, it is in the books, that is something that I know. So by the time unavumilia hapo Frank, ati unasema ati no, you know me, I love this chick, you know, she just doesn't like talking, you are also mentally ill. Okay, sorry to say this, and it's not at Yanini, but honestly, let me tell you, you get what you ask for in life. If you had issues in the past and you're still, those issues were toxic and you're still growing in them, in the same issues, then also that's another problem. Ni kama kuniambia ulikuwa mwizi and now in your 40s, sasa you're a certified thief. How is it helping you?
It's not helping. Ukiwa mdogo, you are stealing, one stealing, but graduate to 10, 50 as you go, because it wasn't stopped. So you keep going, and the bottom line is your, but now inaendelea tu grow. Now, the other thing I want to bring into this conversation is, yes, from a relationship perspective, honestly, and you said something, if it's both of you, then I think some maturity has to come in, and somebody has to be a bigger person and try to see how to resolve for that. Now, when you bring it even outside marriage, for example, you can't forget, you see, when you talk about social media, for example, because everything now is moving digital, right? There are certain times when you write posts or you do, and people comment certain funny things. You don't even respond to those guys. Silent treatment cannot be certain areas where, that's what I'm saying, it can be communicating something outside of a relationship. Somebody can send you something that is not good, something that is nasty, somebody can give an opinion about you, which is their opinion, which is not, it doesn't affect you. You don't need to respond to it. You know, sometimes they say silent gold, speech is silver. So there are certain
Why
scenarios
would you
where
not respond,
it
Frank?
depends.
It's
But if
because
it's
maybe
negative
one
energy,
thing,
spreading with negative
unaogopa.
energy,
Maybe I've had
they-
people maybe comment,
there's no
and
time.
I tell them not on my wall, because
There's
I
no
have
time.
values. When you keep silent, you see what's in your mind doesn't come out. It's like you're blind. Utaonaje vitu. It's like you're dumb. How will people know what is in your heart? So me, I always believe, say it. Because when you keep quiet, you're as good as a hypocrite. You just want to
No,
look out good on the outside, but
Venus,
ndani you're burning.
Venus, this is
Hey.
listen, this is your page. Wewe umefungua page yako ya Facebook, ya Twitter, ya Instagram. Umesema Venus, I'm having breakfast in my, you know, huko sijui wapi London ama wapi umetravel. And then mtu tu tuanze kusema vitu are not even linked to, and then you come and just have all these comments. My friends, what's with energy? Where Ruka, where move on? Why are you giving them powers to be able to?
There's something you said at the beginning, Frank. And I think you said, you know, also silent treatment depends on personality. Me, my personality is not for keeping quiet. And
Correct.
also with the little knowledge that I have, I don't keep quiet. Because, yes, as you said, silence is a way of communicating, but I think it can really mislead people. You know, there are people who keep quiet, unaenda unauma pilo, meno yanguke. You know, because you didn't want to deal with that person. You want to look holy. You want to, yeah? Uko huko naimba Mungu wangu, and you're hurting. Yet you had the opportunity to tell the other person that you really hurt them, or they really hurt you, and you're not, you know, and have the problem solved. So
This is somebody
unajinyamazia,
you
unaenda
don't know.
unajiuma.
No. Why do you care? This is somebody who decided you don't know this person. Haumjui kabisa. Why do you care?
It doesn't matter whether you know them or not. Sometimes it's good to just say, by the way, I don't share the same values with you. You're allowed to what, you know, you're thinking, but please don't bring your mentality on what I'm writing. Okay?
Yes. Hata nikwambie. You need to realize, hata nikuskula. You need to know who's a pig and who's not a pig. Pig inapenda matope. And if you're not careful, if they drag into that mud, and you don't, where utakuwa kwanza kushindwa, what am I doing in this mud? The pig is enjoying. So you're passing your energy. Because remember, when you comment, atajibu. Because he has all the time, or she has all the time. Then you, even if you that diplomacy, you unasema ati, I'll do this. Then they'll add something. They're free. They're idle. Wataendelea up to what time? At what time do you sit back and say, nimechoka na huyu? You can't. Let the pig play in the...
You win. Let me tell you, Frank, we actually need, and I know our producer doesn't like me saying this, but we need a part 2, and we're going to also be reacting to all our viewers' comments, because ini kitu moto. Some of us have done it. We have been professors, but we decided to outgrow it. Okay? But because time is not on our side, let me just, request anyone who is watching us for the first time. Here, as you can see, we share our hearts out, as is. Please drop a comment. If you're watching us for the first time, just like this page, share, subscribe, so that you can be notified about our future shows. Frank, I think now this is the time where we go to, is it a brutal fact? Wacha nikuachie hizo vitu zote ulikuwa uniambie, just put them kwa brutal fact, because this topic si kitu ya kuongea in 30 minutes. We need a part 2, I believe. Yes.
Thanks. Let me move to the next. Let me move to the next window of the brutal fact.
Sawa. Aya, see you on brutal facts.
So, okay, moving on to brutal facts. All right, guys, silent treatment. It's a very interesting conversation to have, and as you had Venus and myself deliberating around the same issues, it varies. Honestly, from my personal opinion, it doesn't depend on the age. It depends on the stage in life where you are. But what I believe in is you should never give people the power to make you feel inferior. You should never give people the power to control who you are or what you are at some times. Just be cautious of what you speak and how you speak it, because that brings out the brand and your personality of who you are. But always remember, uh, you're running your own journey. It's your own journey, and you have to define it. At the end of the day, in the evening, you're going to your own house or your parents' house or whichever place you're going. It's your own journey. Be it in a relationship, be it in a business partnership, be it a friendship, whatever it is, we can start looking at the amicable way of being able to resolve some of the issues to avoid silent treatment. In my opinion, it's something probably might be avoided depending on where you are or depending on the magnitude of what has happened. But there needs to be a solution around it. You need to sit back and find out, why is it happening? What's the root cause? Solve it, and then just keep on trying to get a way to solve it. In a marriage, it's even more delicate. Guys, let's talk, let's engage, let's exchange. I've had my fair share of silent treatments as well, and I've learned something from this as Venus was speaking. So it's also work in progress for me, but also for you out there, even be it a business partner, be it a friend. Please just get some time, appreciate, understand where it's coming from, and see how to resolve it. But on social media, on people you don't know or people don't add value at all for maisha yako, please, don't waste that time. Don't waste that energy. Move on, delete them, or just move on. Brutal facts with Frank Moller. Going back to being 40, Venus talk to us about Mind Spark. Bye.
Oh, wow, thank you. So, guys, this is the Mind Spa moment where we talk about psychological facts. I just want to pick from what Frank has said. Silence is a mode of communication, but I just want to add on to that statement as a psychologist that you should know who to use it on and when to use it. It is a powerful tool, but if you use it at the wrong space, then you end up being the one to suffer. Okay? And I want to really, narrow it down to relationships, because I have been there. I have done it. Not once, as I said, not twice. I have done it, as a way of, trying to communicate to my other, my partner. But at the end of the day, it never worked. And not only in that situation, I've also used it, in work areas and all that. But at the end of the day, I ended up, being the one who is hurting. So what I'm trying to say is, in as much as we want to believe that silence is a mode of communication, I believe for those that you love, you should not give them the silent treatment. And I want to speak specifically to couples who are listening to me today, okay? Having been on that road and that space, this silent treatment will never take you anywhere. If anything, it will brood, it will grow a certain resentment from your other person, and eventually it will take that relationship down. If you're having any issues, if you're hurting, get good, get that time, to communicate. Wait for the other person to calm down. If you can tell them how you feel, it would make them understand where you're coming from. But when you operate from a space of keeping quiet, it is very, very hard for someone to read your mind. There's only one God, and he's the only person who can see what is happening, okay, from where he is at, and he can even read your thoughts. The rest of us are human. Unless you open your mouth to say and speak out and say, this is what I'm going through, it's very, very difficult for that person. So when you think that you're using silence as a way of communicating to them, that silence is not silence. It is punishment. It is psychological abuse. Okay? We will pick up on this topic. We never got to finish engaging about this, because you can clearly see we have different perspectives with when it comes to Frank and I. But let us know what you feel about silent treatment, if you've experienced it. If you ever managed to, sort it out, what made you really, grow out of it? For me, I have no regrets. Anyone I love and care about, I have never given them silent treatment. So once again, this is the Mind Spa moment where we talk about psychological facts, and this is Being 40. Back to you, Frank. Frank, we just need, we need 1 hour for this. But at least for the 30 minutes that we have discussed, yes, I really love what you have brought out. I'm also able to understand, your mindset, I'm sure you've also been able to see where I'm coming from as a woman. For those of you, once again, who are watching us for the first time, and if you're watching us and you can really relate with what we're talking about, please drop a comment or two. Let us engage. But in our 40s, let me say this. We keep it as real as we can. Okay? And in our 40s, it's about growth. Hakuna kurudi nyuma. Personally, I don't want to do things I used to do when I was, in my 20s, and things that really particularly did not help me. Yeah. So this is Being 40. And once again, thank you for watching us. Till next time, it's bye-bye.
See you.